Hello, Mark from Toon Slayers here again. Talking about protecting your investments, your float tubes, your tents, your ice shelters, your poles, your rods, all of your gear. Just, protection of them, cleaning them up, making them last a while. I mean, this is an expensive sport to get into. You want to protect everything as best you can. Float tubes, you know, storage of them is pretty important. Just keeping them, if you're not using them on the water, storing them in, your garage or a storage shed, someplace out of the sun, covered up so that you don't get sun rot. We've quite a few boats have come in, that just are sun faded. And here's another prime example of an older boat is just sun rotted away. They're stored outside on top of roofs or laying against sheds or uncovered in direct sunlight. This particular one, all of this is just dried out vinyl and not took care of. It's still usable, it's still good, still works great, but it's just, sun rotted, dried out, and it's hard to get it back to pristine conditions after years or so being out in the sun. Much with similar to your bladders, your internal bladders. This particular bladder here, it's been sitting out, in a dilapidated canvas covering that just the sun just ate it away. It's no good. It's dried out and cracked, and you can't patch them at that point. They're horrible. They're really flimsy and soft, and there's no structural strength left in them. Protecting of them. There's plenty of ways of protecting your canvas materials or your vinyl materials. Some of the examples are marine stored. Example, Cabela's or Shields. Even some boating stores have great products on the market. Here's one particular. We use it on occasion for washing down and scrubbing down canvases, and it works amazingly. There's plenty of market out there for protectants and cleaners. Here's another example. This one is Mother's, which is a great vinyl or the plastic leather covering materials. It works decent on more auto cars and vehicles than marine, but Mother's does sell and offer marine grade vinyl protectants and canvas protectants and such that will protect a lot better than the automotive brands will. But the automotive brands are in my opinion somewhat earth friendly, but not quite as more earth friendly than the marine branded ones. But they still, either way, they work. We have used both branded styles, but we prefer the marine grade products, similar to this Drive brand. But protecting, it's, you're spending upwards of $1,000 plus, even as little as $300 to $400, for your pontoons and your kick boats. Even examples for your paddle boards and kayaks. They have, your some of your paddle boards and most of your kayaks and canoes are plastic. Protection of those is needed. And then we're not saying you have to clean them or protect them every trip. Just once or twice a season. We like to go through ours and do a good protecting on them at the end of the year. When it's starting to turn icy again and ice fishing starts coming in, when we do our season changeover, we'll run through and protect get ours all protectant done. Do a really good deep wiping down and clean up, making sure that they're protected. And even the frames, we protect the frames as best as we can. Currently, we're in the middle of transitioning from one style paint to a different style paint, an epoxy metal paint for the frame rails and metalling. So we have a better protection of the frame rails. That's a slow going process for us right now, trying to find the correct materials and getting all of the needed equipment for doing that in. But protection, much like we've been talking about here the last couple of days about being safe, you being safe on the water with life jackets and emergency setups and just being protected that way. Your boats need protection too. Cleaning and protection is the best way to keep your boat going. That's also step one in protecting yourself as well. Keeping yourself safe. If your boats are up to par, you're safe. You have a better foundation for being safe. If you got a bladder that consistently keeps going flat and you just don't fix it, chances of having a major issue going on with a broken bladder or a popped bladder, yes, you're having a bigger chance of having an emergency situation come up and around. Honestly, we've had a time or two where we've had some emergencies come up and out on the water. Example, we were at one of our team members was at Rockport and got winded into the wind pushed him into a bunch of shrubs and tree branches and everything else on shore, and he had a small emergency with his boat because it got popped. It ruined the canvas, it ruined the bladder, and it's taken him a little bit of time to get stuff fixed back up on it, but able to disassemble the situation before it became a true major emergency. But anyway, that's another subject matter we'll go into another day. But protectants. Again, there's a lot on the market. There's a lot available. We try to use as best as we can more biodegradable cleaners and more earth-friendly based cleaning solutions and protectants. One of our absolute most favorite ones that has done an absolute top quality job has been Dawn dish soap. A couple of drops of Dawn dish soap in some absolutely as hot water as possible has done just phenomenal jobs. We do have some other little more harsher cleaning materials that are biodegradable that we use for cleaning. But anyway, protecting, storaging, if you're not going to be using your pontoon we recommend that if you're not going to be using your pontoon or kick boat for, let's say, a month time frame of, letting the air out of the bladders until they're deflated and putting the pontoon in a garage, similar to what we've done. We keep our pontoons in a garage. Yes, sometimes we have a window open a time or two, but for the most part we keep our pontoons stored inside. They're not in direct sunlight. During a long interim of not being used, they get covered up with a great big giant tarp so that they're kind of protected from anything else going on. But for the most part, storing them inside out of direct sunlight. If you're going to be out and about, you're going to go out a couple of days, there's no worry in keeping the pontoon in the bed of your truck. In the warmer months of summer, we do recommend that you let the air out of the bladders a little bit. Don't keep them pumped up completely. We all know that heat will expand air a little bit, the bladders will expand, and as the temperature inside the bladder goes up in the hot months, especially if you're going to leave them out in the car or out in the truck. So keeping them halfway aired down or halfway aired up, either way you want to look at it, helps, so that you don't have any major stresses, anything in that regard that can cause a problem later on down the road. Another thing of that is that when you go to air up your bladders, we've had quite a few questions come in about how many pounds of air these bladders are supposed to have in them. A lot of your newer pontoons, for example, classic accessories, they have tags on them all over the place for safety and stuff like that, and they express 2 or 3 pounds of air at most. I've seen some people that have gone up to 4 or 5 pounds of air. We base air poundage off of what weight is on you're carrying on your pontoon. For example, our mongrel, our shop dog, there's a lot of weight. It's close to probably 310, 320 pounds when it's completely packed in there. That's batteries, that's the motor, that's one of us on it, that's all of our gear, a cooler that we use. It's rated almost at its max capacity, and it sits a lot lower in the water. Because of the weight that we put in it, we add just a little bit. We add a little bit more pounds. Typically we run all of our bladders at 1 pound of air. On a standard used, non-heavy loaded pontoon, that works out absolutely phenomenal with 1 pound. That's all we need. When we're running the shop dog at full capacity, weight capacity, we'll run it at no more than 2 pounds. Basically, all that's doing for us is kind of giving it more buoyancy and kind of sitting a little bit more up in the water, on top of the water, to counteract the weight. The other nice thing about a lot of the pontoons is that the bladders, you can adjust them where they sit on the frames. So if you have a lot of weight on the back end of your pontoon, you can move the straps and move the frame up the bladder. You only 4 or 5 inches maybe, but it counteracts the back end weight, so you're not sitting butt end of the pontoon in the water. So a lot of pontoons have some adjustments to them that you can change them around, move things to counteract your weights. But ultimately you want to stay safe on the water. So adjusting, moving weight around on the pontoon is ultimately your best idea. But we do realize that a lot of time that's more difficult to do because you only have small spots to put stuff on. Many different models that are out on the market have different framing rack systems for your boats. For example, this would be one rack system. Here again, this is the Colorado or the classic accessory brand boats, only because that's mainly what we've picked up on getting. Here's a rack system. It's an actual metal frame rack that holds onto the frame. Great for batteries, great for everything else. Quite a few other pontoon models, instead of having this wire basket, they just have a metal piece or a skirt piece that goes across it that needs a little more bracing up if you're running heavy equipment. But You know, protecting of your pontoon and your investments is just, it's key. It really is key. Here's another example of a well-weathered pontoon. It's just sun-dried out and rotted away. You know, new set of skins and bladders, you know, depending on your pontoon boat, they're pricey to replace. Here again, the classic accessories, we're roughly $230 to $250 for new bladders and skins for them. You know, so I mean, they get expensive to replace, and protecting them is your best options. You know, so just protecting. Many different ways to protect it, many different cleaning solutions and vinyl protectants that are out there on the market that you can use. Just read the instructions on them when you purchase them, because some of the chemical makeup can ruin the pontoon, which is not what you want. So being careful. If you have any questions on any of this, give us a holler. We're happy to help. We're happy to answer questions, give guidance, anything that we can do to help. You know, your kayaks and your paddle boarders. Your kayaks and paddle boards are, most of them are plastics. They're all, you know, some of them are roto mold, or some of them are just blown plastics, but you can protect those as well. They're a little bit more sturdier in keeping clean and updated out of the sun, with the sun. You know, they don't get as sun rot as quick as some of the pontoons do, but they still do, you know, protecting those. And here again, our marine boating store will have your marine grade protectants. So just look around, find some good stuff. If you need any questions answered, you know, let us know. We're here to help. You know, there was something else I wanted to touch on, and I can't remember right the quick second. So protecting. I mean, that's number one in our book for safety, is keeping our boats and your boats up and running. You know, our cleaning processes that we use are fairly in depth. Here again, I'll touch on this quick. You know, for $35, it takes us roughly about an hour to do it. We completely dismantle your pontoon completely down. I mean, we'll right down to bare parts. We'll take it all apart, take the seat off, clean the seat, clean the frame inside and out, making sure that there's no damages or worn out parts or rust or anything that's going to cause a major issue. You know, we'll take the bladders apart and we'll clean inside and outside of the canvases, wipe the bladders down, get all of that dirt nastiness out of the inside of them. You know, put them up, we'll inspect everything, put it all back together. We use a hot water bath. We soak the canvases in and some of the vinyls in for roughly about half an hour. The water we use about 125 degree hot water with some cleaning solutions and let them soak for a little bit. And then we put it all back together after everything dries out. We fill out the paperwork and give you a quote for repairs if we see anything. And then, you know, you can take it from there and choose what you want fixed or repaired or not fixed, you know, and you can bring that quote back into us and we honor that quote. Protecting. Just protect you, protect your boats, protect your ice shelters, you know, your fishing rods and reels. You know, many different rods and reels out on the market, and they're all absolutely wonderful rods and reels. You know, protecting your rods and reels. Here, I'll pull one out real quick. You know, going through and dismantling it, taking it apart, cleaning it, wiping it down, using gear oil and reel lube and grease. Most of your higher expensed rods and reels, they'll come with a little tube of grease and oil. You know, well, you ask what part of the reel needs grease. Well, inside the main body here, there's gears. The gears are attached to your crank handle here. You know, you take all of the screws out, take it apart, and you can clean the old grease out and put your new grease in. You know, that's where a lot of your corrosion starts at, is inside. You know, because, you know, rain gets in there, water gets in there, dirt and dust gets in there, you know, and it just, the old grease just can't work if it's all gummed up with stuff. You know, wiping your poles down, you know, making sure that they're all good and no major issues, that a lot of your tie-in windings aren't coming apart, you know, and all of your eyelets are all in good order and tied in together here, you know, and they're not bent and nicked and broke or missing, or your rods, you know. I mean, just taking 2 minutes and inspecting everything, you know, looking through stuff, making sure everything's working. You know, your lures and stuff, you know, the hooks are sharp. Just, you know, being protected, just protecting everything. You're investing a lot of money in this stuff, in your fishing world, and you kind of need to protect it, because it's not like we can run out every 3-4 months and buy a $200 fishing reel and a $300 fishing pole and a $600 pontoon. You know, you got to protect what you got. So anyway, that's our short little bit on protecting your pontoons. If you have any questions, give us a call, message us, email us. You know, we're here to help you. We're here to help you along, give you advice. You know, if you have somebody that's going out to look at a brand new pontoon and they want an extra set of eyes, you know, let us know. We'll go and look. We do that for free. You know, we'll travel up to wherever and look at whatever and give you our honest opinion of it. You know, if you bought a brand new pontoon or a used pontoon and want it looked at, bring it in. You know, contact us. We'll make arrangements and we'll take a look at it and we'll give you our opinion on it and kind of give you some guidance. You know, we offer for free. That's, you know, we love doing that. You know, parts, repairs, modifications, we do it all. You know, so yeah, just give us a call if you have any questions, any concerns. If you guys have any other topics that you want us to talk about or kind of go through, you know, let us know. You know, we're here for you guys. Just let us know. Be safe.